Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. Good to see you. My name is Tim Harris. It's 10 o'clock. It's time for 10 with Tim. Don't you look at me that way. Don't you look at me that way. I know you just read Numbers chapter 1, verses 1 to 54. I know you did. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, man, it was so good in Revelation. We were having such a good time. And then Pastor Tim put an end to that. No, I'm telling you, we're going to read the whole Bible through, right? And the whole Bible includes a book of Numbers. And there's some really, really good stuff in Numbers. There's some really, really good stories in Numbers, but there's also a lot of Numbers. And you just read some, and that's not all of them. And we're going to have some more chapters like this. And but it's good. It's good. So can we talk about it? I promise I'll do everything I can to guide you through it and make this good. It's God's word. And God's word has its own purposes, and not every page of God's word is meant to, light you up and make you feel good, make you feel warm inside. Sometimes it's information, sometimes it's historical, sometimes it's just God's revelation of His working with His people, and it's not a book about me. It's not a book about you. It's a book about God. So. There's much to learn in Numbers chapter 1. I think by the time I finish that, hopefully you'll be ready to read the book of Numbers. So let's get started at it. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for being a friend in the Word with me. We'll do this together. Numbers chapter 1. Let's start the book of Numbers. First off, the book of Numbers. That's the name of it in the English Bible, but the Hebrew name for Numbers is not Numbers. It's actually the Hebrew word Bamidbar, and it means in the wilderness or in the desert. All right. Now, a book called In the Desert sounds a whole lot more interesting than a book called Numbers. So let's start there. All right. This literally is the story of the wanderings of the children of Israel in the wilderness. It's that 38-year period between their departure from Sinai and, after that establishment of the covenant at Sinai, and then the wandering in the desert, that 40-year period. That's the story that's told in the book of Numbers. All right. So get with it. This is what it is. The book is called In the Wilderness, and it's the account of what God does with His people during that 40-year period. Now, just breaking the book down, it's actually in 3 divisions, and they're geographical. So literally, the book of Numbers is the journey. And so it's organized geographically. That first section, which we're starting today, is the section that takes us from Sinai to Kadesh. And it's in chapters 1 through about chapter 10. Each division, it's 3 parts, and each third of the book is also divided into 2 sections. And so section 1 is like chapters 1 to 10 and then 10 to 12. So this first big section from Sinai to Kadesh is essentially from chapter 1 through the end of chapter 12. And we're going to go right through it together. But understand that it's arranged geographically, so it really is a story of God's people on the move. So again, just trying to reframe it for you, so you don't just think you're reading the phone book. Because I admit today, chapter 1's like reading the phone book. But let's talk about it. God says, count the people, take a census, count the people. Elsewhere in the Bible, you get in trouble for that, but this time God says do it. So Moses is going to do it. But it's not like counting because God doesn't know how many people there are. We're not counting the people to get a number so much as we're counting the people to organize them. We're organizing them for a purpose. These aren't just people wandering in the wilderness. This really is intended to be troops on mission, And so we're counting the men who are capable of fighting age. So actually, we're organizing the people, and we're trying to mobilize an army, so to speak. So the people are going to be marching with purpose and not wandering, aimlessly through the wilderness. Each tribe gets counted, and chapter 1 is the account, no pun intended, of how the tribes are counted. They're divided up by tribes. You get a leader from each tribe, and then they're counted accordingly. Each tribe gets the number of fighting men, but also each tribe gets their place in the camp. And then each tribe, of course, has a role in the journey. Now, Levi, the tribe of Levi, is set apart because Levi's, they're not going to be fighters, they're going to be defenders. And what they're defending is the tabernacle. In the camp itself, the Levites are the outer ring around the tabernacle to protect the other tribes from inadvertently, stepping in inappropriately to the holiness of God. And so the Levites are there to be in charge of the tabernacle. So they're not registered to fight with the others. And so the tribe of Levi is set aside. So understand what God is doing here. The story of the book of Numbers is really the story of how God forms and structures and makes his people into something that can move and worship together. And it's really a beautiful thing. This is a call to readiness, a mobilization. Because I remind you, in chapter 1, at the beginning of this, I assume some of you know how this story turns out. But as we start here in chapter 1, we're preparing for an 11 days journey. It's an 11 days journey from Sinai to the edge of the promised land. It's an 11 days journey. So they're not, gearing up to walk around the block 40 years, just circle in a circle. That's not what they're doing, but that's what they're going to do. You and I, if you know the story, you know that. They don't know that. It's an 11 days journey, but it's an 11 days journey that's going to take 40 years. So chapter 1 starts with so much potential, and you see God organizing his people and structuring and forming his people because they're supposed to not just be counted, they're supposed to be obedient. But I think you know the story, or if you don't, you're about to read a great one, because as it turns out, to be counted is not to be obedient. And they indeed will not be obedient. And this 11 days journey is going to end up being 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. Again, God organizes the chaos. And I love the way when they're structuring the camp, it's the tabernacle in the center. The camp itself is organized around the tabernacle at the center, which is just amazing because, and this is actually it's the part that as God's people are going to miss. God has to be the center of everything. He can't be at the edges, the margins of your life. And unfortunately for many of us, that's how we live. We live with, we want to be counted among God's people, right? But we don't want to live our lives in such a way where he is always at the center, and obeying him is the very essence of our being, So chapter 1, it's a good start. They are organized, and everything that God can do on his part to set them up for success, God does. But there's always that part that's left to us, and that part that's left to us is where the uncertainty and the chaos returns. But when God gets ready to move, he organizes his people, and that's what he does here. So we'll pick up right here tomorrow. Again, it's not all counting, you all. We're going to do some from in the early part, but it's not all of this. And again, the book of Numbers is rich and good. So stay with it. The book is called In the Wilderness, and it really is the story of God's people on the move. And we're still at this point organizing them for the journey. Let's do 2 chapters tomorrow. Again, I recognize some of these early chapters are a little more tedious. So I want you, it's okay to skim, but I want you to skim in such a way where at least you know what's there. If you're on Jeopardy one day and somebody asks you what Numbers chapter 3 about, I want you to be able to answer that question. But at the same time, I recognize that a lot of it really is it's drier, and it's documentation of facts that again aren't necessarily devotional for you and me. So again, it's okay to skim. It really is okay to skim. Chapters 2 and 3 for tomorrow. I'll pull out the interesting and important textual points, and we will make this journey together. Okay. So anyway, have a good Wednesday today. Stay in the Word. Stay faithful. And I will see you in the morning, Lord willing, 10 o'clock for 10 with Tim. I love you guys. I'll see you in the morning.